Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining us this afternoon as we share the truth about Sojourner Truth. I'm delighted to have everybody here today. My name is Brinda. I'm producing artistic director of Prime Stage, and I'll be moderating the session along with our special guests, and we have some very special guests joining us today. We'll be also showing 3 brief clips from the production and some incredible artifacts from Sojourner's life as well. Some of you submitted questions when you registered for the webinar. You'll also be able to post questions on chat to ask our guests following the discussion. So again, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have everybody here. And what I would like to do is I'd like our guests to introduce themselves and a little bit about who you are and how this has all come together. Cory, would you like to start? Cory, want to unmute yourself?
All right, thanks. Thanks, Wayne. First, I'd like to just thank you and your staff for putting on such a spectacular play. Delana, she was incredible. She was convicted in that role, and I appreciate what she did. And the writer as well. I mean, everybody, I can't say thank you enough. I'm Cory Mcclechy, the 5th generation grandson of Sojourner Truth. I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm 48 years old, and we are descendants of Sophia, the bloodline, that lineage that's connected to Sojourner Truth, her youngest daughter. And I'm here with my cousin Burl, and Cal and Wish are also with us, but I'll first just go ahead and introduce Wish, being the family historian. He's the oldest out of the trio here between me and Burl, and he lives there in Battle Creek. I'll let him introduce himself. Thomas Mcgritchy, I call him Wish.
Yeah, Thomas, introduce yourself. Unmute Thomas, and unmute. There you go.
My name is Thomas Mcgritchy, and I'm a 50th descendant of Sojourner Truth. I live in Battle Creek, and I found out about Sojourner Truth when I was in my 60s, going to a funeral of my aunt in California. And ever since I found out about Sojourner Truth, I cannot get her out of my heart.
And we're definitely delighted to have you here today, Thomas. Cal, let's have you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Latif Callaway. I'm an honorary family descendant of Sojourner Truth, not by bloodline. And I was actually introduced to Sojourner Truth at the early age of 9 years old because that was my mother's hero of all abolitionists and women. And my mother had the same strength that Sojourner Truth had. So having an opportunity to meet Cory about 7 years ago, and then him introducing me to his relatives, both Burl, Thomas, and then also Thomas Mcgritchy, Cory Mcclechy, Burl Mcliechey, Hardy Keefe, and the family descendants out on the West Coast in California. They all embraced me and let me take on the task of telling her story via screen, major screen, television, film, and documentary style. So I'm just part of the family now, and I'm looking forward to sharing Sojourner Truth's story with the world as we know it should be told.
Right, and let me just bring up one thing. And Cory, you're also the president of descendantsoftruth.com, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, sir. That was, well, Burl here, he had wanted me to create a website several years ago. And so I embarked on that journey and put something together. So, cause he's been adamant about just trying to tell the world about Sojourner Truth. And so I put together that website. And basically when you go on the website, you could read the bio about Burl himself, Traveler of Truth. You could read the bio about Thomas, family historian. You could see a brief bio about Latif Callaway, film director and honorary grandson, truthfully, you can read about him and what's going on, and you can read about my Top Notch Kids program. And the Top Notch Kids program is a program it's an initiative that's within the Sojourner Truth movement itself, where our motto is, we don't kill with guns, we build with guns. And the logo is 4 hands, 2 girls, 2 boys, different ethnicities. One is holding a caulk gun, one is holding a nail gun, one is holding a heat gun, and one is holding a paint gun. And just like the narratives of a northern slave, I'm just trying to change the narrative of the gun, which is synonymous to American history. So, and that's just, you know, it's in our DNA to, you know, be that way. You know, I just thank Sojourner Truth and her spirit for what she done that encourages me and Burrow and Wish to do the things that we do.
Absolutely. I'd like to introduce Linda. Have you introduced yourself? Linda, you're muted.
I'm Linda Hayston, the Education Director and Teaching Artist with Prime Stage. I am the director of this particular piece regarding Sojourner Truth.
And Delana, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Delana Flowers, and I played Sojourner Truth in this production.
Great. Now, what we'd like to do is I'd like to start this with a brief video clip from the production, and the first person that'll be joining us will be Delana. So if we could do show the video clip, and then we'll have Delana share her thoughts.
Sojourner Truth, that's my missionary name. The name I use to testify to the world all the hope that's in me. My first name in this long life was Isabella Baumfree. I was born in the year of our Lord, 1797, in Roundout Creek in Hurley, New York, a ways out in the country. I don't remember much about my younger years, but I do remember a dismal cellar where we all slept in the same room, on loose, damp boards, like a horse, with a little straw and a blanket.
Delana, can you share what it was like to bring Sojourner to life? And also, one of the things we found is people may not be aware of it, that she spoke Dutch.
Absolutely. This was the role of a lifetime for me. And I believe that Sojourner Truth is a name that a lot of us know, and we know that she's a hero, but we don't know what brought her to becoming the hero that we know her as today. So I was very honored to tell her story and to enlighten people that didn't know things like the fact that English was not her first language. Dutch was her first language. That was something I learned when I started working on this project. And there were just so many things that she endured and so many things that happened to her that brought her to the legend and the woman that we know. I think sometimes we forget that heroes are heroes because they were human, because they were people that endured so many things. And the things that they endured brought them to a place of serving other people and giving to other people and not wanting other people to go through the things that they endured. So I was very excited to tell this story, my story, our story, and I'm just, it's been a pleasure.
And Delana, you were saying to channel her and to work with her, you really channeled your grandmother. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. My grandmother, and I tell this story often, my grandmother passed away several years ago, and she had a brain tumor. And in the last 30 days of her life, I helped to take care of her. And the thing that I remember most about that time period, my grandmother was a beautiful, dark-skinned Black woman. And even while her body was failing, this was a woman that right up until the day she died, she always had this very straight, very dignified posture. And I remembered that she was dying, but if you sat her in a chair, she always had very dignified posture. And when I read other people's accounts of meeting and talking with Sojourner Truth, they also mentioned her posture being very dignified and very straight. And so I was very honored to channeled both Sojourner Truth and my grandmother, Annie Flowers. And it was a great compliment when my family saw the show. They could actually see my grandmother coming through me.
That's great. Tell us about what it was like to learn the dialect and that experience.
Oh, it was my first time working with a dialect coach. And at first it was very much like learning to read again. So I didn't have to learn Dutch, but I was learning to speak English with a Dutch dialect, something we don't hear every day. But it's remarkable the way the brain will start to adapt to whatever it is that you're learning. And after a while, I caught myself writing in dialect and typing emails in dialect that I had to go back and redo.
And you worked very closely with Lisa Ben Savage on this. And tell us
Absolutely.
about that experience.
Oh, she was an excellent coach. From day one, we started with the basics and just worked our way up. And every time we went into the studio to rehearse, I warmed up with her, and she was just a joy to work with and just very knowledgeable and very encouraging.
And the last thing is, we're using the actual Ain't I a Woman speech, the actual speech that she did. What was that experience like for you to discover this and work with that?
It was absolutely a discovery to realize that there were two separate versions of this speech, and the speech that was most famous was not the authentic version. So I was very excited to learn the other version that I hadn't heard before I started working with this piece, and to actually share that because I'm sure that there's a lot of people that never heard the other version of it.
Right. And one final thing, purple was Sojourner Truth's favorite color. And I think it was also your grandmother's favorite color, right?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So there's another connection there. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what would you like us to get from the production and from your portrayal of Sojourner Truth?
I think that we are living in a very difficult time, and sometimes we forget the power of the human spirit. And I think Sojourner Truth's story reminds us that no matter what we go through and what we face, we have a purpose, and we should live our days fulfilling that purpose. And when we do that, that legacy lives on long after we are gone.
Thank you. Let's go to the next clip, and we'll have Linda share her thoughts about what it was like directing the production. Okay.
Before long, Master Dumont appeared.
Well, Belle, you run away from me.
I did not run away. I walked by the daylight, and all because you promised to give me a year of my time.
Linda, what was this experience like for you? And share your thoughts. You're muted, Linda.
I keep doing that. As I've said many times, at this point in my career, it was an honor to be chosen to direct this particular piece at this time. And it's very near and dear to my heart in that it deals with a very strong and determined woman who lets nothing get in her way of taking her journey that she and God knew spiritually that she had to take. She was ahead of her time. She was the Me Too movement before the Me Too movement ever came in this decade. And she was very special. And I also keep repeating the phrase where she did not run away. She walked away. She was not being chased. Well, she was being chased, but she did not run from the chase. She walked. And she was very adamant about that. She represented not just Black slaves and females especially, but she represented all who were tied to other people in taking their journey. She was not tied to the Underground Railroad. She was not tied to getting people out. She did it by the mastery of her language, which got better as she went on to speak to thousands of people and especially women's rights, because she was always told that she was ugly, she was too tall, she was a male, which she proved she was not at one speech she was at. And it's just the fact of her journey kind of channels my journey and how I channel things when I'm directing. And this was one piece that channeled my energy along with hers. I wanted to bring her energy, her strength, and not just the struggle. And I put that in quotes.
Right. And Linda, as a teaching artist, you work with young people. And you
do.
also work with a lot of young people in the inner city, okay? And
Yes.
African American, but young people of all races and all creeds and cultures, and you know, why is Sojourner Truth so important?
Well, it's like a lot of people, they don't know her. They do Harriet Tubman, they do all the other female people who were enslaved. Sojourner Truth is so unique from all the other people, not that their journey wasn't as significant, but hers is more significant, and that she went to court to fight for her children. She stood in a courtroom, not only as a Black person, but as a female wanting to get rights for her children. That was unheard of. She was illiterate, but that doesn't mean she was not educated.
Mm-hmm.
She never learned to read, but she had everything that she needed to do to get over the struggle, or to keep her journey on track.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that way from her beginnings to where when she died. She was a strong, tall, straight up woman, female. And that's the thing I love most about her. I also wanted to address why this piece was, or how this piece came to be chosen. And I wanted to address how Prime Stage chooses their productions. Because we're an educational theater company, we choose our productions with our teacher advisory council, with suggestions from teachers who want to bring history to life. And that is our mission, is bringing things off the page and putting them on stage to actually show the truth and the journey of various literary productions. And that's how this piece was chosen. And also, we're a very diverse company, and like, we take all walks of life, journeys from all, and especially females. We don't just focus a lot on males, with war, etc., and their journeys. It's my favorite thing about Prime Stage is that they feature strong female women, and I think that's essential, especially in this day and age.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'd like to go to Cory, and if we can show a video clip, very special video clip of an experience that Sojourner had with President Lincoln.
I knew I must speak with President Lincoln and let my thoughts be known. My friends thought I was foolish and too old, but with the help of Lucy Coleman, an abolitionist, and a few choice words to Mrs. Lincoln from Elizabeth Hobbs Keckley, her black dressmaker, I met with him in October of 1864. Turns out our minds were running on the same track. And like me, the president was mightily distressed by the thousands of ex-slaves gathering in Washington to find work and new homes. He agreed with me that something must be done.
And I'd like to introduce Cory and Cal, and the family, and Cory. So this experience, and I want to start with being the 5 times great grandson of Sojourner Truth. What's that experience like for you, Cory?
Well, just like anybody would probably imagine, it's unbelievable because it seems like I always ask myself, how do I deserve to get to be, the descendant of such an iconic woman? It's like unreal. And then like over the years of working on this documentary and TV series and everything with Lateef, he showed me, and even, Burl can speak for himself too. He showed me where people who love Sojourner Truth, they put you way up here, and it's like, I don't expect that from anybody because I'm just an average guy who owns a home improvement business and likes sweets and, and likes to draw here and there. But for people to just put me in another, like, I don't know, it's amazing, man. Cal has been working with me, and my cousin Burl has been trying to just get me to accept the fact that I'm a descendant of greatness, and I got to learn how to move a certain way, and I have to be knowledgeable about her. I have to know who I am. I have to be able to answer questions about her. So it's been quite a journey, man, ever since Thomas, you put the placards up on the trees at the family reunions, and Burl, he's been on my case every year since I can remember. I mean, he's the reason why I met Michelle Obama, at the unveiling of the bust of Sojourner Truth in DC, because Burl has been vigilant, traveling. His health has not been the greatest, but he's traveled the country talking about Sojourner Truth any chance he get,
And Burl's, and you're, where do you fit into this lineage? Are you the 4th great grandson, or where are you?
I'm 5th generation also.
You're 5th generation also.
Yeah, me and Thomas has been working to put her history and put her name out there so people will really realize how great this woman really was. And really, a lot of the things she tried to do in those times are still prevalent today. That's what makes her even stronger. And to be able to meet a Black woman and a woman, be able to meet with not just one president, 2 presidents, and get her son brought back out of slavery is just remarkable. And as you go out and you tell people and you talk to people about who she is, they just don't understand why we don't know about her. And we don't put people in our nation's capital who don't mean anything to our country. We don't honor her statewide as giving her a day. We don't do this to people who don't mean something for all of us, not just the Black race or the brown race or the Hispanic. She means something for all of us, and she stood up. So I kind of sit back and not say anything, because if I get started, somebody's telling me to be quiet. But the love and the things she has accomplished is so remarkable, and that she has been an influence in my life ever since I was about 7 years old. I mean, really an influence. And the things that's happening now, I'm sorry about the pandemic, but I love that Thomas was able to get to New York. I mean, that meant so much to me that he was able to be able to get out and just feel her. And Cory and Cal and my daughter Marika, she was on Today's Show talking about the statue in Central Park. So much about this woman is not really known right now, but it's coming. And when it gets here, people are just going to be astonished about who she is and why we haven't heard from her. But don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who know, because she didn't get in our nation's capital because nobody knew who she was. But education is right. To me, education right now, the way everything is going, is so important. And our young people need to know where they came from to be able to find out where they're going.
Absolutely.
So I'll be quiet now.
No, I think that's a good lead into.
I thank you guys, and that's the only way we're going to get get her name and get her story out. And I love the way you guys started this time. Most of the plays and stuff doesn't start at her young age like that. And to find out, and that was remarkable. I loved it. I truly loved that part before she left and got to the Dumonts. Thank you.
That's a testament to our playwright, Richard, who I think he did a remarkable script, an absolutely remarkable script. I think that's a good lead into Thomas. Can you tell us about what you have where you are in your museum and all the fixtures and stuff, and then tell us about that walk that you did. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Tom, you're muted. There
Sorry,
you go.
that's my fault. There you go.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well, I'm sitting down to the museum now, and it's like taking a journey with Sojourner Truth. It's like she's walking through the door down here. People come in and watch the display and learn about Sojourner Truth. Kids come in and read what I got around that tells her story. But what I want to say, I am blown away and amazed at Linda and the actress Doreen about Sojourner Truth. Because with me, when I found out about Sojourner Truth, there's always been two people that walked away from her freedom that day. That was Sojourner Truth and the baby she was carrying. And I always thought about the baby she was carrying. In fact, I even had Sojourner Sophie's, I got some income tax one year, and she didn't have a marker out there. And I put a marker on her grave. I had to do that. It was inside me to do it. But what I loved the most about these two ladies watching this play and Linda is Sojourner Truth said, if one woman could turn the world upside down, all women together could turn it right side up. And these two ladies to me are an example of exactly what she meant. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful. Beautiful.
And Thomas, you brought up something really interesting, that the baby that was in that one clip is your descendant. I mean, it's
right.
That's Sophie.
Watching that actress holding that baby and holding that pipe that she smoked, and it brought back to where a preacher met Sojourner Truth and asked her about her smoking, and she told the preacher, "Well, I'm not planning on taking my breath with me." Unbelievable, ladies, unbelievable, mind-boggling. To me, this segment is good. It's a trip I made to New York. Unbelievable.
Also, a little bit about the pictures that you have behind you, Thomas.
Well, a long time ago, in fact, about 10 years ago, I got a computer, and I learned how to run a computer. Well, back about 10 years ago, there wasn't too many people talking about Sojourner Truth. Well, on that computer day, I seen a calendar, about history calendar, a real old calendar, and I bid on that calendar, and I got that calendar, and it has Sojourner Truth story on it. And when I looked at that, I said, well, what I'm going to do, I seen Sojourner Truth story, I'm going to have that blowed up so all kids can read her story. And that started. This is what I want to do, and that's what they're easiest to take from place to place. All you do is set them up. They're on a board, and they can read her story. They can walk her walk and read her story, and that's what it's all about. And they need to learn.
That's great. And this is in Battle Creek, Michigan right now, but yeah, it's amazing. Maybe you'll do a virtual tour with us, if they could do that, maybe.
All right. I want to introduce you to Doug. Come around here, Doug, so you can see who you are. He's the president of the museum. And I come down here with the lady was writing the story quite a while ago. We walked in the door, and he invited me. He said, well, Tommy, why don't you bring your display down here? And ever since then, that's what.
Oh, okay, there you go. You froze up on us a little bit. Oh, well, we'll get back to you, Thomas. Cal, you're doing something really, really fascinating, really super. Tell us about this documentary that you're putting together.
Yes. So, it's interesting. We were in talks with a couple of television networks at the time prior to the pandemic. And we were looking to do a TV series and a feature film, which we're still in the works of doing that later down the road. But because of my nature of not being able to sit still and have an opportunity to meet all of the descendants and have their I say so now, and having an opportunity to meet all the family members and have a blessing, I said, well, hold on. Instead of telling the Hollywood version of this particular story, and nobody's going anywhere, I had the opportunity to do all and take all the research and interviews and being inside Thomas's home. That's one of the museums that Thomas is in right now, but his actual home is a shrine of museum artifacts, of things that he has acquired, he's designed, he's drawn. And one of the most unique things I've ever seen that Thomas had done was to take an actual picture of Sojourner Truth and cut his hair and attach it to Sojourner Truth. I thought it was actually kind of cool. So you're talking about somebody who has passion and who's obsessed with Sojourner Truth. Thomas, he is truly have a great love for her. But to get back to the actual documentary itself, I figured, why not tell the story from the perspective of the family members? And that's where it made it more compelling. And what's happening with this particular documentary is, the theme is, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So in essence, Sojourner Truth has implanted her fingers and the roots into the world and outgrows this beautiful tree. And as the apples are falling, they are representations of Sojourner Truth, being it Thomas, Cory, Hardy Keefe, Mario, Loretta Easton. So the family members are actually speaking to us and telling the story from their perspective as to how they want the world to view Sojourner Truth and how do we continue her legacy, if you will. So I had to pivot, hit the reset button. And actually this documentary, we're looking to foresee it to come out on her birthday, which a lot of people don't know, in 1797, in which when she was born, they didn't have birth certificates. So in essence, they celebrate her death as her birth, which is how we came up with November 26, 1883 as her birthday. And so we celebrate that every year, the day after Thanksgiving, on her birthday. So we've shot all our footage, and we're in the editing process, and we're looking to share her story with the world. And I'm just honored to be able to tell her story in all those different facets. But it doesn't just stop there. It's not about just telling a theatrical film of Sojourner Truth. We're looking to do a Sojourner Truth gala and give out annual awards every year in her name on the family's behalf. And in essence, we're looking to build Thomas, because his home is not that large, we're looking to build a large museum. That's the one that's in Battle Creek, but a secondary museum for Thomas and his name to carry on her legacy, because, very much like Thomas's passion for Sojourner Truth, I have it as well in my DNA, because at the early age of 9, my mother introduced Sojourner Truth to me. So I'm actually just living, on my mother's shoulders, Sojourner Truth's shoulders, and now able to share this story with the world. So
that's great. And when you're talking about sharing the story with the world, one of the things that Cory was able to share with us are some incredible artifacts that I'd like to share. And Cory, if you can talk about them a little bit. I think the first one we have is with Hardenberg, right?
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah. And Maddie, if we can put that up, and if you can talk about that. And on how we got these as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, like Latif was just explaining, he arranged it so that we could meet with a historian up in Ulster County, New York. And he doesn't care to even be, noticed, or he wants to be behind the scenes, but he's a heck of a guy. And you could tell his passion for this story and Sojourner Truth's legacy was just as great as the family members, Wish, Cal, myself, and Burl. And he went to, Cal, help me out here. He went to the county clerk's office. And,
yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he doesn't want to be named, but however, he has provided a substantial amount of items, as you can see here, from the county clerk's office in Ulster County, which is authentic articles here. And so he was able to give us the actual tour of all the homes that Sojourner Truth resided in, the fields in which she worked, and the courthouse in which she won her son out of slavery, which is in downtown Ulster County, New York. So this is one of the very many pieces that he was able to provide for us. Obviously, these are copies and replicas. We weren't able to keep them, but you know, when he was aware that Thomas and Cory were going to be accompanying me to Ulster County, he and they actually bend over backwards trying to secure these artifacts for us. So we're able to share this with the world as well. So
Right, and we have another one to show too. This was with Shriver's Tavern, and tell us a little bit about this one. This I find really interesting because in the play, of course, Sojourner talks about her experience as a child, Delana, right? Tell us about that little part of the play for you, and let's talk about this artifact, which is really interesting.
That was actually one of my favorite parts of the play, because I think sometimes we just forget that our heroes are human beings. And here is this woman as a youth talking about a time that actually brought her joy. She enjoyed going down to the docks and you know, meeting the sailors and seeing that some of them were Black. And so it was really interesting for me to bring up a part of her life that, you know, that she actually enjoyed.
Yep. Yeah, I just find that really interesting that, again, there's authenticity. There it is. And one of the things that's very important about Prime Stage is that we're authentic and we're accurate and we're respectful. And this really reinforces, you know, what we're doing. And the other one we have is a bill of sale. Cory or Cal or Thomas or Burl, can you talk about this bill of sale? We have two of these. Go ahead. Cory?
Yeah. This here is also part of the documents that was obtained by the guy who we can't mention there. But it shows where, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Cal, General Hardenberg is like his list of things that he owned, and they even kept track of like nuts and bolts and things of that nature. So it's like very detailed and itemized. And if you look on here, you will see where Sojourner Truth was sold with a flock, or was it a flock of sheep, Cal?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the document there that displays that.
And we have the other one too, the second bill of sale too, if we can call that up. And no, this is just, when you look at this, it just puts things into a whole nother perspective, you know, it really does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the other one we have, which is remarkable, is the court proceeding. And her time in the court, I mean, that was just, wow, just amazing what she was able to accomplish. Cory, can you tell us about this part of her history, or Cal or Thomas or Burl, you can tell us about this part of her history?
This is one of the most remarkable things that I think started her life on that journey. And God gave her that strength to be able, and wisdom, because like somebody said that, you know, you don't have to be educated, you don't have to be able to read or write to be a great person in this world. And that courage and strength that she had to be able to say that was wrong, and I'm going to find a way to make it right. And that strength led her to so many remarkable things in her life. And just that one thing, we would have thought it'd be one of the greatest things that somebody of her stature during them days would be. Just everybody would be just would be, you know, just excited about how she done it and the strength she had. Right. And then the courage of just not being a Black woman in them days. White women really didn't have the rights or the ability to be able to live just being a woman. Mm-hmm. And one thing I can say about this, you know, you see the guys talking about Sojourner Truth in the family, but I think, and I've always said this, unless men really recognize our women as being strong and as being just powerful, and as I think in Sojourner Truth and Sojourner Truth's journey, that I don't see many people stronger than a Black woman. I mean, look what she had to do during her struggles, and then able to accomplish getting her son brought back from Alabama out of slavery. And from day one, men are told to make babies. They don't have to take care of the babies. The women do. And all through the journey of all women, raising families, being as strong as they are. And that's what makes it easy for me to talk about her and feel her and the strength she instills in me to be able to go on. But that's just one journey she's made. That's just one remarkable thing she's made. So,
and Cory, you had mentioned that there's also, I think there's a woman that's joining us today that's also part of her family as well. Is that right?
Yeah, she actually is Burrow's sister, and she wasn't able to get on because she's in a different time zone, and she got kind of mixed up. But also too, Shalinda Clausen Brown is our cousin. She was supposed to join too, but I don't know what happened. But you know, Burrow has always been trying to advocate for the women really getting involved. And his daughter Marika, she's like one of the first women to really get out there, talk to the Today Show. And then she also has her own like following on, her social media where she speaks about her grandmother sometimes. And, that's always been Burrow's thing, is to get, and then we have Crystal there too. You see my cousin Crystal. Mm-hmm. She's Thomas is mentoring her to be able to take over after he passes, because we talk about these sort of things because this is what Burrow and Thomas is passionate about, is the family, the next generation having just as much passion and drive as Thomas and Burrow have to carry on the legacy. And, me and Crystal, we talk on occasion. Like I said, she pressed up the hoodies, the Top Notch Kids hoodies, and her business partner, giving me great rates and, just helping us get the word out there. And also her husband, he races race cars, and he even put the logo on the race car to bring attention to the movement. So it's all a collective effort to just keep her legacy alive.
And let me go to you for a minute, Crystal. We've heard from the men in the family. How about from you? What's it like for you to have this legacy in your heritage?
I use it to this very day. Every time I see a woman that stands up for herself, it reminds me. My grandpa used to take me to her statue when I was very young. He used to tell me
At
about
9 years old, I used to take her down there.
Yeah, I was very young, and I started learning about her a long time ago. But she thrives me to want to do better when it comes towards the women, because she did. She stood up for her child. She took her child back from a man. She took her child back from slavery. She did multiple things that a woman nowadays could still do and still use. I couldn't imagine how it would be if she didn't stand up like she did, how much worse it could be. And we still thrive today through a lot of these women being hurt and abused, and things still happening to this very day, that she could stand up, even from the grave, still stand up and, show these women that you have just as much of a backbone as anybody else. You do carry those children. You do get up every day and worry about your family and do what you have to do. It's one step at a time. And she's proof that any woman can do it if they put their mind to it.
Absolutely. I'd like to go ahead.
And she's making Sojourner Truth t-shirts. She's still carrying it out.
Well, we have to be able to, where we can get those. Let us know where we can get those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Wayne.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wayne, can I speak to something real quick?
Sure.
Me and Thomas were having a conversation about 3 or 4 days ago, and it dawned on me. I said, Wish, you know what? I said, man, we really we gotta take after our ancestors and don't really even realize it. I said, she sold the shadow to support the substance. me and Wish are artists. We draw and we also sell our paintings, you know, so it's selling the painting, but me and Wish and Burl, we're trying to sell the paintings to support the substance, which is the Top Notch Kids agenda, which is the documentary and the movie agenda, and also the museum. Those are our substance. So me and Thomas, you know, Crystal might got a shirt or something she could show you, but yeah, we make the shirts, you know, we sell the paintings and everything to support the movement.
That's great.
What
Well,
I
that just-
actually did is
Go
I
ahead.
went ahead and made it
Sure.
to where it is through Sojourner Truth. So this is going to be the company that will make the shirts and will make whatever that you need that comes through Sojourner Truth. So then that way, anything that is put into this can be put into, you know, spreading more of her word and spreading more of her around.
That's great. Well, and I would say this, Crystal and all of you, if you could just let us know where people can get these shirts, and we'll put it up on our website. And also, you know, and connect to Descendants of the Truth so people can actually connect with you and we can support the work. Okay?
Yeah, Wayne, I'm gonna get with Crystal. We already talking, and they can go to Descendants of the Truth now and get different things, but I will be getting with Crystal and I will be adding the link into Thomas's bio. When you read Thomas's bio, you'll be able to click on the link and it'll direct you to the site where you can purchase, because Thomas got over 300 shirts that he handmade. And I was just trying to explain to Thomas, you know, you got to sell that for a decent price, you know, because he was selling them kind of cheap. And I was like, man, no, these are handmade.
Yeah.
You're a descendant of Sojourner Truth. You're an 81-year-old man. It's unbelievable that you created over 300 shirts handmade. So, you know,
She keeps me going.
That actually gets us into,
these are actual pamphlets of what Sojourner Truth
Wow.
sold in her time. These are
To make her living.
original
wow.
to make her living. This is what she sold.
This actually goes into the question that, you know, we're talking about questions, while there are forms, but there's a question here that a person wrote in, and I'd like to present it. What are the challenges in preserving and promoting Sojourner's legacy of her accomplishments? And what are some of the challenges that you're coming across? And maybe, Cal, maybe you could start with that. And
Yes, I would like to say that one of the biggest challenges is the fact that, unfortunately, the media has not really taken notice of her like they should. So when we were approached by Prime Stage and by Linda and you, Wayne, and what Prime Stage has to offer, we grasped to that because this is a form of media that the world needs to be seeing and it's being shared. So we are very, very fortunate and happy to have you guys work with us and us work with you guys to tell her story, because when you talk about someone who has done such a remarkable thing during that era, it's not necessarily embraced as much because it would have inspired so many others. And so they kept it very, very minimal to the Rosa Parks of the world and to the Harriet Tubmans of the world. But if you do a deep dive into Sojourner Truth's story, in which Linda and Delana share with us so eloquently, it actually makes people ponder and wonder, it's like, oh, wow, okay, why are we not talking about her? Yeah. And so this is just another amazing path and medium to actually tell her story. So we're very, very fortunate. And I think it's going to go a lot further now, you know, to tell her story and unfortunately on my behalf, I didn't have a dialect coach. And so it's awesome that you guys are able to do that research. And one of the things that I am really, really extremely proud of is that fact that you guys take such a strong interest in her and that you guys actually taken it to this level, and it has to go further and further. So this is just a stepping stone, and you know, we are going to share this with the world. And thank you for doing this, Delinda and Linda and Wayne and the rest of your staff, because this was just something that we weren't even expecting. So thank you guys.
It's definitely our honor to do this. And we also, you also talked earlier when we met before about there are a lot of myths about Sojourner Truth. Mm-hmm. And it's like what, well, you know, what the title of this is Share the Truth About Sojourner Truth. And it's really important that people do know the truth, that she was from New York, and I mean, the true speech. And there's a lot of things out there that are really, really important that actually add more to her and to her legacy. It's really remarkable. Let me ask you that. There's another question that came in. In what ways can libraries and library programs continue to honor Sojourner Truth's legacy? Cory, you want to take that, or Thomas, you want to take that?
No, Burl.
Burl?
I'll take that. I have spoke at numerous libraries on mostly during Black History Month and a couple during National Women's Month. And the libraries seem to be the best way to get young people involved, because parents bring their young people to the speaking engagements, and then we have the books and everything right there, accessible to the young people and adults. And there's so many libraries in every city, and they do have budgets to be able to bring in speakers or order books or work with the high schools and elementary schools. So I think the libraries are really, really important, because without, we have social media now, and everything that's in the library can be brought up on social media. So I think it's very important that we keep our libraries accessible, and because young people still realize that they go to the library for information.
Absolutely. This is more of a technical question. How old was Sojourner when she changed her name, and what's the story of that? I mean, it comes across in the play, but can you tell us a little bit about that? Who'd like to take that?
Well, I'll take that. So she was actually, she changed her name June 1st, 1843. So she was 46 years old when she actually, which you think like, wow, I'm 3 years removed from 46. So that was late in her life. However, it was a traveler of truth, and actually piggybacking off of her name, which is one of the individuals who's working very closely with us, and a dear friend of mine, is Gloria Steinem. Gloria Steinem has a book that's called a magazine called Ms. Magazine, but prior to calling it Ms. Magazine, it was going to be Sojourner, but she changed it with her team because they thought it was going to be a travel magazine. And so with the love that Gloria Steinem, and in addition to Oprah Winfrey and Cicely Tyson, which gave a speech at the U.S. Capitol building, they all resonate with her name. So you will hear them talk about her synonymously in a lot of their speeches throughout the world. So yes, she did change it at the age of 46, which was pretty late in life, but was remarkable. But from her travels, her journeys, and everything that she endured, she felt that was an appropriate name for her.
Great. Elena has a question that she put up in chat. Were Diana and Elizabeth's children born into slavery as well?
I don't know that answer. Maybe Thomas or Burrow might know it. I'm not familiar.
Yes. Yeah, kids. I'm pretty sure they were, because they were the oldest children, and she wasn't free at that time. She walked away with Sophie, so they were still kept in bondage by the owners. So then I think the law was in that time, if slaves were owned by their masters, once they turned 25, I think in the New York area, that area there, then they were free, but their siblings weren't.
That's why I'm checking on and trying to find out how Sojourner Truth was able to walk away with Sophie. And that's another story within itself that I'd like to find out about.
Hey, Wish, easy, because she felt it was her God-given right to do so. That's why she walked away.
I believe that.
Strong.
That's another
woman.
story. Like I say, there's a lot of, it's like peeling an onion. There's a lot of layers to that onion. Once you peel one layer, then you have another one you peel. And it goes on and on and on.
And there's so much. There's absolutely so much. What do you see in the future for sharing the story of Sojourner Truth? I mean, Cal, you were talking about the projects you're doing and working with the libraries, and what can we do to really bring out her legacy and make sure that young people get this legacy, you know, especially through media, through whatever? What do you see in the future for sharing the story of Sojourner Truth? And I find it interesting when you're talking about, like, in Hollywood, sometimes Hollywood doesn't get it right. and here, you know, and it's important that we do get it right. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's an interesting.
What I see, oh, go ahead, Cal.
Go ahead, no, Thomas. Thomas, go ahead.
What I see here in Battle Creek is they have a breakfast down there for Calloway. And I see a picnic in Battle Creek put on about Sojourner Truth. Just have a simple picnic downtown in Battle Creek to let all the young people learn about Sojourner Truth. And that's my dream, is seeing that happen.
It would be something that would be, you know, if you get everybody together and then, because obviously nobody's going to turn down free food. That's just a given. But if you used to get everybody together and then, you know, that one Pacific, you know, lunch, dinner, whatever they decide to put it as, meaning about nothing but learning about her, it would kind of show more people and it would speak to more people because they're there, they're eating and they're looking around and they're learning more about her.
Even if we just have hot dogs and pop down there.
Yep.
Hey, Wayne, I also want to speak to that. I have a friend, Jennifer, we call her Jennifer Mack, and she's put me in touch with a guy by the name of Rocky Banco. He's the owner of Universal Hip Hop Museum that they're gonna eradicate between and now and 2023. It should be constructed. And that's one way that that's a platform. The hip hop is like a lifestyle, and it's a way that Sojourner Truth can be introduced to the younger people. I'm actually trying to coordinate with them some type of way where once we get the museum up, the Sojourner Truth Museum, it'll act as a sister company to the Universal Hip Hop Museum, where we were in discussions about maybe patrons could come there and they can virtually visit the Universal Hip Hop Museum. At the Sojourner Truth Museum, they can come inside and they'll be able to virtually visit the Universal Hip Hop Museum. Now that might be some of the younger kids' interest, and they might not have any interest in Sojourner Truth whatsoever. They just want to come in there and look at the Universal Hip Hop Museum tour. But in doing so, they'll mess around and start learning stuff about Sojourner Truth, and then maybe their interest will be focused on her as well.
That's a great
Another
idea.
thing is something like that. Another thing for that is advertise it to the schools. I mean, schools may take their classrooms to trips to learn, you know, something like that. It's something that's fun and it's something that's teaching them more. And the more classrooms that you get in, the more of the word gets spread and the more of that whole day. I mean, kids gonna talk about it when they get back to school. Yeah, we learned this, and it was fun, and it might spread the word to other people and they'll tell their parents, and that'll get our legacy out there even more.
Well,
That's a great idea.
just like Kellogg's. I mean, Henry Kellogg's was Sojourner Truth's doctor. And I found an article right here in the museum down in the basement with some old papers where he drafted skin on Sojourner Truth.
Wow.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Sure don't. Cal?
So let me just speak to, you know, we do see and we have ideas how we want to share the future of Sojourner Truth. However, there are things that are currently in place that are sharing the world with Sojourner Truth. So August 26th of 2020, last year, you know, Governor Cuomo unveiled a statue of Sojourner Truth in her hometown. And on that same day, she was the very first woman that African-American woman that was unveiled in Central Park that same day as well. In addition to that, the statue that was unveiled was commissioned by Governor Cuomo by a woman by the name of Vinnie Bagwell, who's done an extraordinary, and when you see that photo of Cory that pops up, that's the actual statue that Vinnie Bagwell actually constructed. And then Gloria Steinem has a bench in Central Park. So there are things that are in place right now. And obviously her being the the only African-American woman at the time. I think there might be some more now, but she was the first Black woman that was in the US Capitol building. So unfortunately it was rioted just recently, but in addition to, so the world is actually seeing what she is doing. And to piggyback off of Thomas's Battle Creek picnic, I think, Thomas, we can actually have a picnic all over the world, not just in Battle Creek. Virtually,
yeah.
Sojourner Truth,
Well,
not
we'll
just-
start there. We'll start
right,
there.
we'll start
Another
there and
thing-
then expand it. So
And let us know. We'll make sure we get it on our end too.
Yeah,
Um,
another
we're
thing,
ju-
another thing people don't know is next year, I got a letter from Angola, Indiana. And in Angola, Indiana, they did back in Sojourner Truth days, they didn't want colored people even in their own in Indiana. And Sojourner Truth spoke down there. And they're putting a statue down there, and the descendants are invited to come to that opening when they put that statue down there. And
That's
you know I'm
great.
gonna be there.
That's great.
And I
Well, we-
wanted to say one last
Sure.
thing, if you don't mind. And
Sure.
another way that we're looking to expand her story is Cory is actually have the books that he's doing, the Sojourner Truth storybook, and then his patches. And we actually have an amazing marketing director, Sandra Gruntz, who is actually helping us eradicate the museum and the gala and things of that nature. So there's always other things that we're looking to do to continue her legacy.
I got one more thing to say. What the family is going to try to do to make sure that her legacy gets spread is that right now, Cory's got his website and young people. Marika's starting another website, Keeping Truth Alive, which is what I use on motivational speaking. And her goal is to contact every woman organization in the country. Every city has strong women organizations, and then sororities. And if we are able to get that message to those women, there's no telling where it could go.
That's
So that's
great.
what some of our goals within the family is to try to spread this out.
That's
Cal,
great.
and this is personal, because Cal is something like, I said my son, but I said my brother, because I don't want to be that old, but I am that old. Yeah. But he has spread her name all over the world. And I appreciate that so much. And the efforts and the goals and the things he has planned, I just hope God sees that, because I do, and the family does.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many ways, and there's so much that he has touched within me because of her.
That's
And
great.
his mother by lightening him who she was, and then his passion on bringing the movie and maybe a documentary or even certain things, especially with this economy. I don't get to talking too much, but with the economy, even a production like Roots, because this woman started from an early age till she died. So to say we can give a 2-hour movie or whatever, we can't tell her whole story. So I'm done. I won't say anything anymore, but thank you all. Thank you all.
Well,
I know Wayne has an agenda, so I don't know, are we still, how's our time looking?
yeah,
But
we're
what
just
Burrow ain't
about,
telling you,
we're just,
is-
go ahead, Thomas.
what Burrow ain't telling you is we have got a family of over 200 relatives. And out of that family of 200 relatives, you cannot count over 20 that even knows about Sojourner Truth. And we're talking about, that's what makes it sad. That's what makes it sad. And I'm telling you like it is when I tell you that. That's the sad part about it.
Well, we're going to do what we can to make sure that more and more people know about this. And I would say to the members of the family, please, we're going to keep this going. We're going to help you to keep things going. Absolutely. So I want to say that we're just about at time right now. And I want to thank everybody for attending today. And reminder that Sojourner will be streaming through February 26th. And donations to Prime Stage and descendantsoftruth.com are very, very welcome. So that's the way we're going to keep her legacy alive. That's how we're going to keep the legacy going. And I would say if anybody has any questions that you would like to ask us that you didn't have a chance to ask today, you can email us at admin@primestage.com. We'll make sure that we get them answered for you. And we really appreciate everybody being here today. And Cal and Cory and Linda and Delana and Thomas and Burl, thank you so much. I think this was an incredibly important day. Maddie, thank you so much for making this happen. And thank you all. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you have a good day. And let's keep the legacy of Sojourner Truth alive.